Hi everyone. I have our plans for this week ending April 1st. So we're again working Thursday through Wednesday right now. I have our plans posted in the modules, but I wanted to just take a couple minutes to also walk through what I mean by using the argument outlines handout as a rough outline for Project 3. Before I do that, let's just walk through what you should be doing this week. You're going to write reflection 8. That's a rhetorical reflection. It should look pretty familiar because we did one for project 1 and for project 2. You can write that, you can type that into a document, or if it's easier for you right now to handwrite something and take a picture of it, that's fine also. Step 2, reviewing the argument outlines handout and doing a rough outline we're going to work on in just a minute. I have a video here about organizing your argument at the paragraph level, and also this note to only watch up to 1330 in the video. Maybe you want to check out the sample paper that I talk about in that video. And I'm asking you only to watch that part because it's actually a video from last year, and the other stuff is not relevant to what we're doing in class right now. Here's a picture of the model I talk about in that video. And then finally, before you turn in your outline, I want you to check out this essay, Annoying Ways People Use Sources, and apply the concepts from that essay into the paragraph that you're writing, because I'm asking you to write one full paragraph in your outline, and seeing what other relevant details or information from your sources you can add in so that you can turn in a pretty developed outline of your paper by Wednesday night. Now, that means, of course, that some sections of your outline might be very well developed and others might be a little bit spottier. That's okay because when you see spotty parts of your outline, that gives you a sign for where you need to do a little bit more research. And if I see them, then that also gives me a space where I can give you some feedback to help you out with that. So this I think will be a really great week for helping your essay shape up a little bit more. Okay, so let's look at the argument outlines handout. And let's also look at this document that I posted as a Word document in the module. Right now it says Project 3 Sample Outline Shell, and you should be able to download a Word version that has just this much information in it so that you can type stuff in here. I am going to start filling out the Google document version, and then I will post this example also up there for you. So again, let's go here, Argument Outlines Handout. This is going to download for me. This is something that we looked at in Project 1. I handed out hard copies of it for you, but now you can check out this version. And it's from a textbook that we used to use for English 1020. It was like the best chapter in that whole textbook. And so I wanted to use this because I think it's really helpful for figuring out how should you take these ideas that you're developing in your notes, in your reading, in your brain, in your annotated bibliographies, and put those into some kind of order. So that's what we're going to try this week. So you can see I circled the different kinds of arguments, and you might want to reference that reflection that we did in class about the different claim types to remember what kind of argument you're writing: definition, causal, evaluation, rebuttal, or proposal. And then I want you to use these steps to draft an outline. So we're going to start with first a rough outline, that's like the big picture version, and then we'll start building in details throughout the week. So here I can see, let's pretend we're doing a proposal argument. So the main argument type I'm going to fill in here is a proposal argument. I'll fill in these in a couple of minutes. And using this document, I know the first part of my paper is my introduction. It says I should set out the issue or problem, perhaps by telling about my experience or the experience of someone I know. So the first thing I'm going to do in my introduction is set out the issue or problem. Now remember, a few weeks ago when you wrote your claims down, or possible claims down in that worksheet, many of you also drafted an introduction. So that is something that you definitely want to refer to. I should argue for the seriousness of the problem. And I should give some background about the problem if necessary. I'm going to come back to this in a second and put actually some relevant details. Okay, then in the body of my paper, this is a proposal, so your solution. I'm kind of thinking of each of these letters right now, A, B, and C, in the body as maybe a paragraph. In the intro, maybe this is one paragraph. Who knows? Consider setting out your solution first, explaining how it will work, discussing other possible solutions, and arguing that yours is better. Or consider discussing other possible solutions first, arguing that they don't solve the problem or are not feasible, then presenting your solution. Okay, so this is actually going to be several paragraphs. So, what's my solution? What is it? How will it work? What other solutions are possible? Why is mine better? Make clear the goals of my solution. Many solutions cannot solve problems completely. If you're proposing a solution for juvenile crime in your neighborhood, for example, you can't expect it to eliminate all juvenile crime. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to clarify what the goals of my solution are and are not. My proposal. Okay. So really focusing on scope there and what I'm thinking about. Describe in detail the steps in implementing my solution and how they will solve the problem. You can impress your readers with the care with which you have thought through this problem. Details are important, right? We are feeling that right now. We don't want to just know that something is going to happen. We want to know the steps that will be taken and why they'll be taken and why they're the appropriate steps for the solution. Explain the positive consequences that will follow from the proposal. Argue that your proposal is feasible and can be put into practice. It's right. It's got to actually be able to happen. Okay, and then in the conclusion, issue a call to action. Restate and emphasize exactly what readers need to do. I think I also want you to put up here who your audience is. I think that's going to be important for you to keep in mind because that frames how you present your evidence and the tone that you use to write your paper. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a few minutes and I'm going to fill in just a few of these details to show you how you might get started and then suggest that you would probably spend maybe about an hour or more setting up this outline and using the notes that you already have to start filling in information. Then later in the week, you're going to develop a paragraph within this outline and you're going to go through the entire outline and add details from your research where possible. Okay, so I took a few minutes to start working through this outline and I wanted to think of a really cool example and I just can't do it right now. So I made an argument about something that I have researched and written about before, just so that I could write some details in here in a way that would make sense in a pretty expedient way for making this video. So I filled in, I haven't come up with a title yet, but so far I filled in the claim I'm making in this paper. In teaching observation processes, both the observer and the teacher being observed should submit written reflections on the process for administrative review. It's a proposal argument, and my audience is writing program administrators and writing instructors. So I'm situated to work on this argument because I've done research in the area, because I am in a writing program and have worked with some administration, and I have access to this audience. For a lot of you, your audience, I suggested, is like Wayne State related, or relates to the age group that you are writing in. So you might think about that, but I want it to be not everybody, or anyone who has access to the internet, or anyone who lives in America. Something much more narrow and concrete than that. Okay, so I was able to start filling out my introduction, and for me, sometimes I write these ideas in bullet points. Today I wrote them in sentences. I might add more to these sentences or change them over time, but this is helping me get started. So, setting out the issue or the problem. I wrote, teaching observations are often sites of undue stress for instructors and the faculty assigned to observe them because of administrative labor and even feelings because of, let's say, concerns about administrative labor and even feelings about the observations as potentially punitive. That's a little bit of a clunky sentence, but gets my idea out there that people are worried or don't maybe feel stressed about these observations because they take a lot of time and work, and because they some people are worried they might face repercussions if their teaching session doesn't go well. Okay, argue for the seriousness of the problem. I really have to have a so what kind of moment here early in the paper. Like, why does this even matter? These feelings about the labor and possible outcomes of teaching observations are important to address, not just to acknowledge. Meaning, I'm saying that because I'm making a proposal, so I can't just say, like, here's a problem. It's a bad problem. Maybe if I'm making an evaluation argument, I can, but I'm writing a proposal argument. So they're important to address, not just to acknowledge, because observations are most often intended to be generative learning moments for both parties involved, rather than moments of surveillance, and we need to design them so that their outcomes can be met. So what I mean by that is that we design teaching observations to be moments of learning for the teacher and the person who's doing the observation. And that's really what we want both people to walk out of those observation conversations going, okay, I learned something new about teaching, and here's how I'm going to apply it. But sometimes that doesn't happen. So they need to be designed in a certain way so that that does happen. Okay, so then I'm going to give some background, and here's where I might use some references to source information. I'm not going to get probably too deep into that source information right now, maybe just some key ideas. For some of you, it might be a moment to drop like an important statistic or something that helps you make your case for your argument, but I'm really just giving general background. So here we go. Using the descriptions of the feelings behind observation administration, e.g. is like, for example, this is one author who writes about that, and suggestions for more intentional administrative design of the observation process. I use this paper to suggest strategies for situating reflective writing moments in the process. And then here, just so I can remember it, I put my argument in bold. I argue that in the teaching observation process, both the observer and the instructor being observed should submit written reflections on the process for administrative review. These written reflections then can be used by administration both to assess the process and to identify needed professional development and administrative revision. So how this happens is what I'm going to start to lay out here and here in implementing steps. So I might be thinking, like, is this something for me? Is this something that I want to try and then study and see how it happens? So I can start filling those details in here. Whatever I have off the top of my head, I should start to fill in right away, either as bullet points or as some short sentences like I've already done. And then let's go back here. Later this week, I know that I'm going to pick one section to write a whole paragraph, and I'm going to use this paragraph sandwich model from Understanding Rhetoric to develop that paragraph. And that's what this video is about. And then I'm going to keep working on developing my outline throughout the week and check out my source integration, thinking about this essay and knowing ways people use sources. And then by Wednesday night, I'm going to submit an outline for teacher feedback, my feedback, so that I can get going on writing the rest of my paper. So what this is really going to end up looking like is like some paragraphs, some bullet points. You'll start to see that you're building in citations from your sources throughout this week. And then what you could do when you're ready to start drafting your essay is copy and paste this document over. So you have your outline, a static version of your outline, and then you can start taking away these things and making them into paragraphs. So take away the notes and the headings and the numbers and letters and start making paragraphs. And you'll start to see it developing over time. So right now, even though these are just like notes, I already have about a page of writing for my 8 to 10 page paper, which feels pretty good because I just probably worked on this for about 15 minutes because I already did a lot of the reading and research, so I was able to restate my problem and why I think it's important and give some of that background information. I hope this helps. Please be in contact with me if you have questions, and I look forward to talking to you soon.